Does this ever happen to you? Well, it's a skill issue. Get good. Just kidding. Let's first go over the different indicators your gun is about to show you just how powerful the Epoch is by its own hand. There are 3 separate visual indicators and 1 audio indicator that tells you when you should release the trigger to avoid self-deletion. A fill gauge shown on the reticle while in first person, or on the back of the gun while in third person. The coils in the front of the gun will fully slide down into the weapon before exploding, and the gun will make a high-pitched whine before detonation. Release it before it gets too loud. It takes roughly 2 seconds to charge up their Epoch for a standard shot. If released too early, the weapon will not fire at all. It takes an additional 1 second to charge it to full, with a 0.5 second window to release before backfire. Found in the Control Group Warbond, on the first page of the Warbond with a cost of 75 medals, this weapon is up there as one of the most powerful anti-tank weapons, and I'm going to show you why. Though it shares attributes with the Railgun, Quasar, and Purifier, it doesn't excel at the same categories as those 3 do. The Quasar has infinite ammo and great anti-tank capability, the Railgun for its precision, and the Purifier for its crowd control potential. Makes it a true jack of all trades, master of none, is still better than the master of one. So let's begin by looking at the stats. And buckle up, this is about to be a lot of words. This support weapon does not require a backpack to be reloaded like the auto cannon or recoilless rifle. It has an ergonomics of 25, ergonomics being the value associated with how quickly your weapon catches up to your reticle. This is higher than the baseline eruptor. A demolition force of 10 on both the projectile and explosion. This is the lowest demo force of all anti-tank weaponry. It means that the only thing that it can break are small fences when shot. A push force of 15 and a stagger force of 30. A stagger force of 30 means any enemy that's considered medium or on the lower side of the heavy enemy spectrum will stagger like Alpha Commanders and reinforced Scout Striders. The projectile itself has a lifespan of 0.6 seconds and will explode in the air once the timer has been reached. It also has a capacity of 3 shots per magazine, a reload time of 3.3 seconds that is broken up into 2 stages. Like most other stationary reloaded weapons, the reload can be cancelled by performing any other action such as a dive, a run, or even just aiming in your weapon. And it can be continued from its second stage afterward, making it easier to stay out of harm's way. It has 4 spare mags, 5 if you bring the Siege Ready passive, 2 mags are given back on a resupply, and 4 if you have the appropriate ship upgrade. You get back 1 mag from the ammo boxes that are scattered around the map. It has a standard call-in time of 7.75 seconds, reduced down to 4.75 seconds with the appropriate ship upgrades. A standard cooldown timer of 480 seconds, but with all the upgrades it has a cooldown of 410.4 seconds. There are 2 stats I did not mention called drag and gravity factor. However, those 2 things are so difficult to pin down as to how they affect the weapon that I can only give you simple rudimentary explanations on how they work, but can't tell you how they'd affect the damage output of the gun in any meaningful way. Drag factor is the percentage of how much damage falls off at a distance for the ballistic portion of the weapon, you know, the little blue bulb that flies through the air. Due to this being an obscure thing for plasma weapons, they tend to lose a lot of their damage over distance, so if any of the breakpoints don't match up with what you've seen in game, just know that the drag is most likely the reason. The drag factor is a total of 10% on the wiki. A gravity factor is the rate at which the projectile falls down after being shot. The gravity factor for the Epoch is apparently 200%. And now here are the stats for the uncharged shot. It has a standard damage of 400 ballistic damage with 200 durable damage, 400 explosive damage, all explosive damage is 100% durable, base armor penetration of 4, this makes it on par with the AMR and HMG in armor penetration, an inner explosion radius of 2.3 meters. This is the area in which the explosion portion will do the full damage, an outer radius of 3 meters, enemies caught in the additional 0.7 meter explosion will take between 399 to 0 damage from the explosion. The outer radius also reduces the armor penetration to 3 of the explosion, rather than the baseline 4. A shockwave radius of 4 meters. This is the area around the explosion that does not deal damage, but simply applies stagger and push force. And now here are the stats for the full charge shot. It has a standard damage of 800 ballistic damage with 400 durable damage and 800 explosive damage. Its armor penetration increases to 5. This matches the railgun and the spear gun. An inner explosion radius of 3 meters and a 0.7 radius increase over the uncharged shot. An outer explosion radius of 4 meters, a 1 meter increase over the uncharged shot. Enemies caught in this radius will take between 799 to 0 explosion damage. The penetration of the explosion is reduced to 4 on the outer radius, and a shockwave radius of 5 meters. With all this out of the way, let's look at what equipment pairs well with this weapon. For armor passives, my personal picks are Siege Ready. For its increased ammo capacity, taking it from 4 spare mags to 5, this gives you a total ammo capacity from 15 to 18. unflinching for the ability to stay on target even after taking a hit. The armor rating increase is also very nice. Peak Physique grants a flat plus 30 to ergonomics, taking it up to 55. This would be like wielding the weapon like it's an AR, quick and snappy. Fortified for the 50% reduction to explosion damage. This will help you with any oopsies you have with the enemy's less than ideal ranges. And finally, Ballistic Padding for its own 25% reduction to explosive damage. Now moving on to the backpack slot item. First and foremost, the one most people would take with this weapon, Supply Pack, providing a +2 mags on refill. The Hover Pack is my personal favorite weapon to pair alongside it. Being able to float above a War Strider while it blankets the battlefielding grenades while you charge your shot safely in the air. The Warp Pack that is also found in the same Warbond and on the last page is a fantastic pairing, being able to warp through or around an enemy while charging your shot and hit a vital weak point, or avoid taking damage while reloading. The Shield Generator Pack will allow you to have enough time to charge your shot and avoid taking a stray shot that will throw off your aim. And finally, any of the Guard Dogs would be great picks, but the Guard Dog K9, aka the Bark Dog, is my personal pick. Its ability to stun enemies and lock heavy targets in place while you reload or charge your shot makes it easier and safer to use. With the stats and equipment out of the way, we can finally move on to the first faction on the list to try this against, the Automatons. We will discuss the main units we will most likely use this weapon against, such as all variants of the tank, all variants of the Hulk, War Striders, Factory Striders, Bunker Turrets, Cannon Towers, Gunships, and even reinforced Scout Striders. It has a use there too. There are not many cases in which you would use the uncharged shot on an enemy, but let's go over if the reinforced Scout Strider, Gunships, and medium chaff units can be taken out with a single uncharged shot from the Epoch. The reinforced Scout Strider's front plate has an armor value of 4 with 0 durability, 400 health, and 0 explosive resistance. Both the ballistic and explosive damage from the uncharged shot are armor pen 4. Both instances of damage are reduced by 35%, so the math is 400 minus 35% plus 400 minus 35% equal 520. No matter where you hit the Scout Strider, the explosion radius is enough to finish it. Gunships front thrusters have an armor value of 3, 85% durability, 400 HP, and 0 explosive resistance. The rear thrusters are identical, except for the durability is 80%. An uncharged shot deals 400 explosive damage. It is completely irrelevant how much the ballistic portion of the gun does, because the explosion damage is enough to take out any of the thrusters. Those are the only 2 units that can be killed with this weapon without the need for a fully charged shot to get the job done. While it is not as powerful on paper as other anti-tank options, it still has the capacity to completely outperform the recoilless rifle in terms of how many heavy units it can kill before that needs to be resupplied. All variants of the Hulk can be killed with a fully charged shot to the eye or to the vent, meaning that a skilled enough player could kill up to 15 Hulks before they need a resupply, when the recoilless would only be able to kill a maximum of 7. Tanks have a heatsink in the back with armor pen 3, 100% durability, 750 HP, and 0 explosive resistance, meaning that the Epoch can kill all 3 tank variants with a single charged shot as long as the inner explosion radius hits close enough to the heatsink. War Striders unfortunately have high durability parts and explosive immunity on their weak points, so there is no place where you can one-shot them. However, as long as you hit center mass twice, it'll go down. While you can kill a Factory Strider with 3 shots to the eye, there are 2 other weak points you should consider. The belly takes 3 shots to bring it down, and the feet takes 4. cannon turret can be destroyed with a single fully charged shot to the heat sink. And bunker turrets, the little annoying fucks, can be destroyed by a single charged shot from any direction. While the weapon lacks demo force, it is completely capable of destroying fabricators in 2 fully charged shots.
Automaton outpost destroyed.
And bulk fabricators in, on my spreadsheet, 5. However, in my clip, I believe it was more than 5. I think like 6.
Bot fabricator, east, 50 meters.
It also can complete the following objectives on its own with little effort. The bioprocessor can be brought down in 3 shots, and anti-air emplacement can be brought down in 1 shot per anti-air gun. Mortar emplacements are the same, being able to take out each one with its own shot, and dropship hangars can be brought down with 2 shots to the thrusters. To put this into perspective a little better, we'll once again use the recoilless as our baseline for how effective of an anti-tank this weapon is. So far, the Epoch can kill twice as many heavy units as the recoilless rifle, except for 2 enemies, the Factory Strider and the War Strider. These are the only 2 enemies in which the Epoch matches the kills per resupply. Moving on now to our next faction, the Illuminate. The Illuminate don't have nearly as many heavy class units, and quite frankly, they hard counter most anti-tank weaponry in favor of rapid fire weaponry, but with lower armor penetrations and higher sustained damage output. The Epoch says screw that. Of the current units you would use this against, the Flesh Mob, Harvester, Stingrays, and Leviathans, maybe, they go down quite easily, except Leviathans. Nothing takes those down easily, unless you catapult a Hellbomb like a medieval Baron. Let's start with the Flesh Mobs. A Flesh Mob has a total health pool of 6,000, 25 durability, 0 armor rating, and 0 explosive resistance on their main body. While at first glance you might think it would take about 4 to 5 shots to kill the Flesh Mob, that isn't quite the case. Their 8 heads have 400 health, 25 durability, and 25 explosion resistance. The Epoch's explosion on a fully charged shot deals 800 damage in a 3-meter radius. A single shot to the torso can destroy all the heads on the Flesh Mob in 1 shot, dealing 4,600 damage to it with the first shot, and finishing it off with the second. It has to be fully charged, however. Harvesters can be killed with a single shot to the eye, but if you miss and hit the armor instead, it'll be enough to strip off its armor and exposing the flesh beneath. You should be able to kill it with the follow-up shot. The Harvester shield can also be completely removed by a single shot. Stingrays are fast, but are also incredibly fragile. A single charged shot to any location on the ship will bring it down. And lastly, the Leviathans. Not the best weapon to use this against. This enemy due to the fact that it has no weak points. But if you're welcome to the challenge, the best place to focus would be the back fin. With an armor value of 5, 0 durability, 35 explosion resistance, it will take 4 to 5 shots in order to strip the back fin off. It will take an additional 8 shots to bring it down if you manage to hit the flesh beneath. There is only one structure the Epoch can destroy on the Illuminate front: the downed warp ships that spawn enemies. Normally require a demo force of 20 to the door or a demo force of 50 to destroy from the outside. But they do have a standard health pool. With an armor value of 5, 5,000 HP, 100% durability, and 0 explosive resistance, it would take up to 7 shots to destroy it when its shield is down. Wait a minute. What do you mean? What do you mean it dies in 3? From any distance? What? Why does that work? So, it turns out that the downed warp ships have a 250% increase to explosion damage. And guess what else? The explosion permeates through the shield. So it only takes 3 shots from an Epoch to bring down a warp ship when the shield is still up. I'm losing my mind a little bit here, because when I discovered this changed how I felt about the Epoch to an even higher degree. But it also made me incredibly frustrated that, like, my napkin map meant nothing. Like, nothing at all. Throw out the script. There are no objectives that I can find that can be completed with this weapon from this front. With a demo force of 10, it is incapable of destroying lightning spires and gazers. Now to move on to our final faction, the Terminids. Much like the Automatons, there are many heavy units in this faction that this weapon excels at dealing with. Titans, Impalers, all Charger variants, Dragon Roaches, Alpha Commanders, Stalkers, and to a degree Hive Lords. Nothing really deals with them well. Let's be honest. There are only 2 units you would use this against without needing to fully charge it. The Alpha Commander will die from 1 quick shot to the head, and Stalkers. If you don't feel confident you can hit them in the head, you can fully charge a shot and both of them will go down instantly no matter where you hit. Titans and Dragon Roaches share the same hit zones and breakpoints. The most effective place to aim would be the head of the Titan or Dragon. A single fully charged shot pops both the sacks on the bottom of them as well. It would only take 2 shots to the head to bring down a Bile Titan, or 3 shots to the belly to bring it down. Impalers are fairly straightforward. When their tentacles go underground, aim for the forehead. A single shot is enough to drop them without much fuss. If the head isn't within sight, 2 shots to the underbelly will also do the job. Every charger will die with a single shot to the torso, butt, or underbelly. The Epoch will strip them of their armor and cause them to go into a bleed out state. The Spore Charger will almost always instantly explode when hit in the head or on the back, so make sure you're far enough back. And finally, the biggest monster of them all, the Hive Lord. This gargantuan monstrosity has a health pool of 150,000, an armor value of 5, completely covering all of its body except for its head, which has an armor value of 6. So let's crunch the math. Assuming you're attacking the upper plate of the Hive Lord, each plate having an armor rating of 5, 15,000 health, 0 durability, 35,000 bleed out, and 0 explosive immunity, it would take you 40 shots to break the weakest plate, followed by an additional 91 shots, according to my napkin math. I am never trying this. I'm not going to test my math. I have a life. I have sanity. There are 3 Terminid objectives that the Epoch can destroy. The Infested Tower have a total health pool of 1,500 and will take 13 to 14 shots from the Epoch to destroy. And Spore Spewers will take 3 shots to take out. However, that was based off of my, again, napkin math. And let's circle back to the drag factor. Yay! So if you are close enough, and I would roughly estimate about 25 meters, you can take it out in 2 shots. 3 shots from any other range, but 2 shots if you're within around 25 meters. And Shrieker Nest will take the same amount, having the same health pool as Spore Spewers. Due to how close most of the enemies tried to get to you on this front, I suggest pairing this especially with the Warp Pack, Hover Pack, Shield Generator Pack, or the Guard Dog K9. Despite its lower damage, it has the same breakpoints as the Commando on everything except the War Strider. While carrying around 15 total rounds, 18 with the Siege Ready passive, the explosive damage alone has enough damage to outright kill all medium units in the game, so just firing this into a thick grouping will see you taking out the entire crowd all at once. All in all, this is one of my favorite weapons introduced into the game, being both an effective anti-tank and anti-crowd clearing weapon, though I don't recommend using this weapon against anything of like Titan size like Leviathans or Hive Lords. You'll just be wasting all your ammo. I hope you enjoyed the video. If you did, please hit the like button, consider subscribing. If you are subscribed, hit the bell to be notified of my next video. And if I left anything out, or you have any new information that only you have discovered, please post it in the comments below. I'd love to hear it, and so would anybody else who would like to educate themselves on the possibility of this weapon. Anyways, I hope you enjoyed, and thank you for watching.